Hey everyone, welcome back to All About AI Tech, where we break down the latest and greatest in AI. Today, we're diving into a hot topic. Just how open are some so-called open-source AI models? You won't believe what we found. Alright, let's get straight to it. Many of the major AI models out there are being marketed as open source. But are they really? Companies like Meta and Microsoft are calling their models open, but when you look closer, things aren't quite what they seem. So what does open source really mean? In software, it means you can access the source code and use the program with no restrictions. But with AI, it's not that simple. These models are incredibly complex and use massive amounts of data. To illustrate, let's take Meta and Microsoft. They argue that revealing everything about their models could expose them to commercial risks or misuse. Understandable, but does that mean they should still be called open source? Well, that's up for debate. This debate is about to get more intense with the European Union's new AI Act. This law will apply fewer regulations to models classed as open source, making the term open source legally significant for the first time. To shed some light on this, researchers assessed over 40 AI models. They ranked these models based on 14 parameters like the availability of code, documentation, and how easy they are to access. Here's what they found. The most open models were often those from smaller, lesser-known players. For example, Bloom, developed by an academic collaboration, is truly open source. On the other hand, big names like Meta's Llama and Google's Gemma, not so much. Let's break it down. Models like Bloomz and Olmo checked all the boxes for openness, code, data, weights, and documentation. But others, like Microsoft's Orca 2 and Meta's Llama 3, fell short in many areas. One of the biggest issues? Data transparency. Around half of the models didn't provide clear details about their training data. Without this, we can't fully understand how these models work or ensure they're used ethically. Another interesting point. Scientific peer review has almost vanished in this field. Instead, we're seeing flashy blog posts or corporate preprints that look technical but don't provide necessary details. It's all about presentation, not transparency. With the EU AI Act, a model being labeled open source means it's under a free and open license, which allows modifications but doesn't necessarily mean open data. This will be a major focus for lobbying by big companies. For scientists, this lack of transparency is problematic. Science relies on reproducibility. If we can't recreate an experiment or understand a model's workings, it's hard to trust the results. For example, a model passing an exam isn't impressive if it's simply memorized test examples. We need to know the specifics to innovate and ensure these models aren't trained with inappropriate or copyrighted data. So, what's the takeaway here? Many big tech, open source claims are more about grabbing the label than offering true transparency. Smaller players are often the ones really putting in the work to be fully open source. And that's where you come in. I want to hear from you. How do you feel about these findings? Have you encountered misleading open source claims in AI? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into AI openness, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more updates. Together, we can build a knowledgeable and engaged community around AI. See you next time on All About AI Tech.